Good morning. Thank you so much for joining me. Really nice to meet with you. I'm excited about our chat. I'd love maybe if we could get started with you introducing yourself, your role, and how you got there.
Yeah, thank you very much. Pleasure to be here as well. So my name's Tim Wadsworth. I'm a global sales effectiveness lead at the London Stock Exchange Group. So that's part of sales enablement. So my job is really to arm our salespeople with the tools, the knowledge, and the skills in order to do their job effectively. My job is to essentially make their lives easier. And so I help with our sales onboarding program. I teach sales skills. I teach a lot of our sales tools, including Sales Navigator. So I manage that for the group. We've got there's about 2,500 to 3,000 salespeople at the London Stock Exchange Group. So there's a lot of people out there to get in front of and help train. So that's really what my role is right now. And my background was actually in sales. So I started my career at a smaller firm, doing sales, so a lot of cold calling initially, and then a mixture of account management and sales as well. So I've sort of taken what I used to do in sales, and now I'm taking that into an enablement world and teaching others how to do that, and then bringing in the different tools and different aspects that we can use to help make people's lives easier. So yeah, that's what I do now.
Nice. So in this new environment, how do you ensure that you're future ready?
That's a good question. So I sort of see today's sort of landscape as the next generation from computers, internet, and now going into AI. And I think those people at the time where computers were first invented, there was lots of conversations around, are they going to take our jobs? And the same with internet. And I think there's some people had the same conversation around AI. And I definitely don't see it that way. I see it as, if you know how to use AI in order to move forwards and make your life easier, you're going to be more successful. So a lot of the time I spend now, if I'm not actually in front of my salespeople teaching, is learning more about what technology is available that's going to make their lives easier and make my life easier as well.
So thinking about sort of the challenges that we're all facing, and obviously this new era of AI, what challenges do you see specifically within the financial services industry at the moment?
It's a really good question around. For us, it's data, and it's the amount of data that's available to everyone in the financial services sector and other sectors as well. But there's so much data, and it is power right now. Data is power, but unless you can analyze the data, splice the data, and use the data to your advantage in a short period of time, it's useless to you. So a lot of what we're looking at is how can you actually use things like AI to make everybody's lives easier, reduce the amount of time it takes to analyze that data, find the data that's actually valuable to you. So that's what we're really looking at from a data and analytics point of view within the financial services sector, but then more from a sales point of view, which is obviously where I specialize. Especially in the financial services sector with our client base, it's lots of the largest financial institutions in the world. And they know us so well, and they know our competitors so well, and they know our solutions so well, and they often know their own issues very well as well. So we can't just go in there like sales used to do and say, this is your problem, I'm solving it. We now need to really go in there armed with information about our customers so that we understand everything about them before we get in a conversation. So do we understand their challenges? Do we understand their competitive landscape? Do we know who we're speaking to? Do we know a bit about their background? It allows us to build a lot of credibility going into those conversations. And that takes a lot of time usually. Researching a customer isn't something that you can do in 5 minutes. It takes 30, 40, 50 minutes if it's a brand new customer. And if it's an existing customer, it can take years to build up that knowledge. So how can we help our salespeople to do that in less time and therefore speak to more customers and at the end of the day get more revenue?
And how are you doing that at the moment?
Well, Sales Navigator is a big part of it.
Okay.
So if you think about the research that we used to do before a conversation, what are the business challenges? How do they make their money? Who are the key stakeholders or buying influences? All of that is now plugged into Account IQ, and that's in Salesforce as well. So our salespeople don't even need to leave the CRM that they live in all day, every day, to find that information. So let's say somebody in business development, they're on cold calling people, 100, 150 people a day. They don't have half an hour to research a customer. So when it pops up in Salesforce, they instantly see the name of the individual they're speaking to, all about the customer, a bit about their background and their challenges. And then you can go in with a really good icebreaker and conversation with credibility, even on a cold call, which is just invaluable.
And then when you think of other roles within your sales function, so business development is that sort of more transactional.
Yeah.
You move from that into, because I think you've got roles that span the whole sort of sales organization.
Yes. Yeah.
How do they use it differently?
Yeah, it's a great question. And we actually run specific training depending on your role. So sales specialists do a little bit of the business development part, and then they also have much longer standing relationships. But if we go to the other end of the spectrum, which is the account managers, they are sitting with their customers all day, every day. And their job is to understand the entire company as a whole. And our sort of largest strategic accounts is often one account manager to that account. And therefore, their knowledge of the landscape within that customer is vast. So using Relationship Explorer and relationship maps to map out the entire organization, where their connections are, who makes decisions on certain purchases, for example, we can map that all out in the relationship map. And I just think that's so valuable to see it visually. And therefore, it's not passed through word of mouth or through an Excel file or whatever it used to be. So it's much more in your face and
Available
now and available.
Yeah. I mean, you said that actually it being available in your CRM is also hugely important. When you think about putting those sorts of insights at the fingertips of your salespeople, what sort of benefit does that bring to you?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing for me is it allows us to bring all of our sales tech stack together. So whether it's populating with additional information from their contact information, for example, that may not be available on LinkedIn, or maybe it's workflow solutions, maybe it's sales cadences, whatever it may be that we need to plug in together, the CRM brings that together. So on one page, you will see LinkedIn and SalesLoft and the other tools that we use. And I think that's really valuable, that they're not having to log in 5 different places in order to complete a sale.
It's like one single pane of glass.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then also with our internal resources as well. So some of the sales collateral or the content that we create in order to arm our salespeople with the knowledge, they can access that in our CRM as well.
So it's a much more sort of effective work stream for your salespeople.
Yeah.
What do you think with things that are changing, what do you think the skills are that are needed now as things develop?
Yeah. So we still need the classic sales skills. You still need to be able to ask really good questions. You still need to be able to articulate value around your solutions. And you still need to be able to build strong relationships through credibility building. And negotiation skills are never going to go away. But in terms of the new skills, I think learning to use AI in itself is a skill. And it's not something that is readily taught in many places. And I think a lot of it right now is around practice, trying different tools. They all work in a similar way. Some of them are slightly different. Some of them are easier to use than others. We have things like Copilot internally, and we're learning how to use that, for example. So we're starting to learn, okay, how do you create an email or a message to somebody using AI and still make it sound like it's you? So you're given the right prompts. And I think that's really valuable to teach our salespeople how to do that, so that they're not just making it sound like it's AI generated, which is obviously a faux pas that everyone tries to avoid.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. I think it's clear that there's such value in the human skills and developing the, relationship skills, building customer value. I think that will always be incredibly important. But I think it's the nice link to enhancing effectiveness and productivity by using AI in a way that can benefit your sales teams.
Yeah, exactly. AI can't go to a meeting for you. You still need to go and show up and execute as a salesperson, which is, for me, the joy in sales, that it'll always be a human part.
So Tim, what are the top performing salespeople at London Stock Exchange doing differently?
So I think really the top salespeople, we actually created a dashboard on this recently to track what are our top salespeople doing versus those that are sort of in the middle. And the differences really come along the usage of the tools available to them. The amount of time they actually spend speaking to their customers is really important. Yes, you have to do admin as a salesperson. You have to update your CRM. Those things, yes, we can start to automate. But it is those people who are using the tools such as the CRM or Sales Navigator or the other sales tools we have available. They are going in and asking questions, and they're being more customer centric. We rolled out a whole sales methodology over the last couple of years as part of our sales transformation. And during those sessions where we were teaching the methodology and subsequently, you really notice those people who curious, I think is a really important part there, but they're going in and they're asking those questions, and then they're going back and they're using the tools available to them to either find the answer or to find those questions they should be asking in that time. So it's piecing everything together.
And understanding the customer better.
Yes.
And spending more time then with customers, having conversations and learning more.
Yeah, exactly.
Tim, thank you so much for sitting down with me this morning. I've really enjoyed our conversation and the insights that you shared. And I look forward to maybe having another chat with you again in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.